TFL EV is brought to you by Flow Charger, maker of reliable, high-quality charging stations for your electric vehicle. Hey Nathan, we've got some breaking news for our viewers out there. We have the official pictures early of the brand new three-row Kia EV9.
Yeah, this is the Kia EV9, and this is a three-row full-size SUV that can hold up to 7 people. And not only are we getting a preview of how it looks both externally and internally, but we do have some information to go along with it.
Yeah, and in this video, we're going to kind of give you everything that's out there now. This originally was debuted, I think, 2 years ago at the LA Auto Show.
2021 at the LA Auto Show.
Yeah, and it made quite a splash because it's certainly interesting, futuristic styling, and you know, three-row SUVs are red hot, and this is, you know, one of the few all-electric ones that's going to hit the market this year.
That's right. Now, recently in Korea, Kia did debut this with some journalists who were able to do a walk around and look at the inside of it. And because of that, we actually have pictures from Kia directly showing both the external view and the internal view. And for the most part, if you look at what it initially looked like in 2021, it looks very similar, but there are some changes.
Yeah, and let's go through those right now. So you've got the picture of the outside of the vehicle.
Yes.
What do you think?
First of all, I think it's fantastic looking. I really like the design direction that Hyundai and Kia have been going in. Sometimes they hit, sometimes they miss, but this I think is a hit. Really looks like an SUV, really looks kind of butch and manly. Certainly does not look like a teardrop like certain other vehicles do. But
like the canoe that we just did a
well,
bit. Andre
actually,
just did.
I kind of dig the canoe too. No, actually, a vehicle you got to see in Korea that I feel is not as aesthetically pleasing as this one personally. But this one has a couple things that have changed. So when you saw the original concept in 2021, that had rear suicide doors. This one has conventional doors. That one had a slightly different looking interior. This one's interior is pretty wild too, but it's a little bit different. And then the front end and rear end design are a little bit different on this as well. It's the tiger face that they've been doing throughout the Kia lineup pretty much. And they have that here on the most modern version of it, actually.
You know what I like? I like, I'm pointing to the kind of rear window cut line, how it goes up like that.
That is a pretty cool cut line.
That is pretty cool.
There's, in some ways, there's more questions than answers here. Maybe that's a better view of that cut line that he was talking about right there. In fact, it's sitting next to its brother. Now, there's only one wheel size in terms of, wheel size. There's only one wheelbase. There's only one length. So currently there's no chopped down version or longer version. There are 3 different wheel sizes, actually. There's going to be a 18, 19, and 20-inch one. And what you're looking at here in this picture are 2 different wheel designs. There's a triangular one further off, and then there's the square one, both of which are pretty unique and cool looking. Interesting that they decided to stick with white as their color here because I believe
the hero color.
It is a cool hero color, but the concept was blue and a very striking blue too. So an interesting design choice here.
You know, it's funny. Designers always love to do suicide doors, but they never make it into production.
Rarely.
Outside of like the Lincoln, right?
I think BMW did it with their i3, and just a couple other people have stuck with suicide door or clamshell doors, if you want to call them that. Now, here's an important point from the detail of the design that you can see clearly right here. Sticking to the same playbook that they've been using, Kia and Hyundai have a charge port that's located on the passenger side in the back. And that's exactly what this has here. You can clearly see it there. Not a big surprise. Now, this is based on the eGMP platform. So this is their global platform, but just larger. And we do not have a battery size yet. We are pretty damn sure it's going to be pretty damn big. And nor do we have motor power numbers or how many motors. Now, initially, they were talking about having a single motor in the rear and then possibly 1 motor at each wheel at the very top of the line. This was what they initially talked about. That was not confirmed. We don't know what this has yet. But
I like the squared off Coke bottle shape. That's always...
it's really cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it's always a win-win when you get that kind of, you know, shape that... Well,
it looks a little Hummerish.
Mimics a Coke bottle, but this time it's much more square.
Well,
there's a little bit of Hummer.
Fenders look like the new Hummer, which
yeah.
is my favorite part of the Hummer is its aesthetics. Now, here's that front end I was talking about. This is new. Notice no grills really. There's a little tiny one on the bottom, but there's no need for them because you do not have an engine to cool. There is a frunk. We do not know how big it is currently. I hear it's not that big, but everything else in this vehicle is pretty substantial. Think of the Telluride. That is essentially what we're talking about in terms of overall external size, but the internal measurements could be better because it's a battery and it's a flat pack battery. As such, you do not have to worry about...
Flat floor.
Yeah, it's completely flat floor.
Kia and Hyundai have been doing kind of these frunks within frunks. I just was at the Kona EV, and what you do is you open the frunk, and then there's a little plastic kind of thing on top that has like a little tiny like sandwich box frunk in it.
Yeah.
So I would guess that might be the same thing here.
I think they do that to prevent very small, diminutive people from creeping in there and taking selfies of themselves. That's a guess. So let's talk about the interior.
Leprechauns?
Leprechauns, yes. So the interior of this vehicle is, I would say, unique. One of the things you're going to see initially is that there's two 12.3-inch screens. That's what they've been doing on their other vehicles. However, this one has a 5-inch screen sandwiched in between, which appears to have their heating and air conditioning controls embedded. Now, there is good news and bad news. Good news, Roman.
Yep.
Not a sea of black when you look at the overall interior design. If you look at these areas all around here and in the front, you're going to notice that there's no black plastic, sea of doom.
Okay.
All right? You have essentially the only thing that will show fingerprints are these screens. And these are touch screens, at least the two that are on the right, as far as we can tell. It looks like they do have indicators and points to push. Now, below them, there are haptic embedded controls. And we can clearly see those sandwiched between the screen and then where the air conditioning controls are. And, good news, the air conditioning buttons are toggle buttons, and you can clearly see those here. So
a mixture of haptic, screen, and real buttons interfaces, right?
That's correct.
That's what we're looking at. So that's good. I see we got USB-C as well.
Yes.
Cup holder, phone holder.
Mm-hmm. And we're guessing that this little round thing right here, it's not the starter. The starter is located by the stock. We think that might be for thumbprint identification. Now let's talk about the big story. There's a bigger story in the back, believe it or not.
What's that?
Check this out. Hopefully it'll come up. Yes.
Swiveling middle row seats, huh?
Yeah, which is optional. There's going to be a 3-across regular bench seat, which I think will probably come in the standard ones. And then if you are cool with only 6 people, you can get the swivel seats that can go up to 180 degrees. So first, 90 degrees, so you can easily get in. That's great for in-laws who are large. And then you have this. Check it out. You can face people. Now, the last time I saw a vehicle that had this, it was like the stow and go style seats. And they had one that actually swiveled. It was back in about 10 years ago or so. So this is similar to that. But the good news is you don't lose any functionality with these seats. So let's say you need to fold everything flat. Check this out. The entire floor goes almost completely flat. And what they've done, and they were clever about this, is if you look at the wheel wells, they've been flattened. So I'm pretty sure you can get a large piece of wood in there, possibly a 4x8. It certainly looks like you can, judging by the way they designed it. So very intelligent interior design, flat floors, very, very cool. On top of that, the third row can hold a full-size adult, that being an adult over 6 feet tall.
Yeah, I mean, this segment is really popular right now. People have really taken to having vehicles that can not only hold their entire family, but if they have a small family, take the neighbors' kids to soccer practice. And it's cool that we're finally starting to see, an EV version of a 3-row. What other electric 3-rows are there? I'm trying to think. I know the Rivian's a 2-row.
Well, no, you've got 3 different Teslas, or no, 2 different Teslas.
So the Model X, yeah.
The Y, can't you get an optional 3rd row?
Yeah, it's silly. I think at one point,
but the S as well. The S had that weird kind of, it was buried almost in the trunk, and rear facing, and I think they got rid of that option.
I think the X is really
the X is really their one. And they were really first to the game when it came to a 3rd row.
But it's old now. We had the X
for a long time ago. Yeah.
So maybe that one is a little
past long
its prime.
In tooth.
Yeah. Well, Rivian is that's a 2-row.
Yeah, the Rivian is a 2-row. So is the Lucid Air, isn't it? I don't think there's a 3rd row option.
Well, I'm trying to think of SUVs. Lucid Air is a sedan, right?
It is, but it's a huge sedan. I can't think of any other.
Yeah, most of them are those.
Oh, yeah, the Hummer. Doesn't that have a third row? The new one that Tommy
No,
it doesn't.
Does not have a third row.
Something that big?
Yeah, no,
Ridiculous.
It's actually short. No, it doesn't have a third row. So in
Phooey.
terms of electric cars, there aren't a lot.
No.
Of course, there are a lot traditional cars, everything from the Tahoe to the Suburban.
Every automaker has a third row of some sort.
Of some sorts, yeah. But not electric. So they will be one of the first to be in that world. Which I think is going to bode well for them.
I do too, and I really do like what I'm seeing with the design altogether. By the way, the interior components, all of them are made out of recycled components and goodies and things like that. So in other words, you're hugging baby seals, which is great. And then on top of that, we're expecting to see this vehicle's official debut at the New York Auto Show, which is right around the corner. And at the very least, Andre is going to be there and possibly Zach.
So if you're wondering about range or battery size or pricing, availability sometime this year.
Sorry, guys, we have none of that information. Neither does anybody else. But there is some news on that front, which is we know they were targeting at least a 300-mile range. We know that they initially were targeting about a $50,000 base price. All of these things make complete sense. Will that actually make it into production? Nobody knows.
Towing, we don't know.
No, but they do expect it to be able to tow. It does have a section in the back that looks like it's built for its tow receiver.
Yeah, so exciting news from Kia, Nathan, and Andre's going to be at the
New York Auto
Show in 2 weeks, I believe. In 2 weeks now, yeah.
Same time that we're going to be in Moab, Utah.
Yeah, at the Easter Jeep Safari. So all that is coming up, where we'll get a hands-on video. But from just a styling point of view, any more pictures we can show them?
Yeah, there are. I was trying to. Unfortunately, some of the resolution is a little bit off. But bear in mind that when you're watching this, we're going to have
black and white.
Yeah, that's exactly the problem. But our editor is going to throw in some fabulous pictures right on top of us, so you'll be able to see some of those, and probably some better views of the interior that for some reason aren't really coming up properly in this. But the good news is, altogether, very similar to the concept. So you're getting, we think, what you essentially saw there. Big question for me, Roman, are they going to stick with these door handles, which are the typical Tesla ones that pop in and pop out? Not a big fan. I think these might be the ones, though, that you actually kind of push with your finger and they kind of pop out at an angle.
Yeah, it's one of those like things that's become a thing for electric vehicles where they have to have flush.
5. Yeah, I know, for maximum aerodynamics, which obviously this vehicle probably could use as much aerodynamic aid as possible. It is quite brick-like. I still think it's very, very attractive.
It is. And by the way, guys, if you're interested in the new Nissan Ariya, I just got done driving, and we're going to be talking about that over at our podcast, TFL Talk.
You drove the all-wheel drive one.
I did, yeah. The E-Force. So we'll talk about that. So check out TFL Talk or Andre's Talking Truck on all your favorite podcast platforms, because we put one out every week and have a lot of fun getting deep into any car that we're actually talking about. So there you have it. Thanks for watching. Remember, if you want to get the podcast or all of our coverage, go to alltfl.com. And so far, so good. I like it, Nathan.
I do too. I'm looking forward to it.